All right, welcome back. I have a super story that I want us to analyze together real quick. I've lost control. My wife, feminism, and a mother-in-law from hell. All right, so I don't know what to do anymore. I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I'm reading now. Okay, I'm gonna read it through and I'll analyze. I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I don't have anyone else to turn to. My marriage is falling apart and I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you can give me some advice or at least help me understand where I went wrong. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Is that interesting? Not the same story, different story. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee 3 years ago with my wife Tolu. Okay, so it's a Jakba marriage. By the way, the names are changed. It was a Yoruba person, but names are changed. I always keep the same tribe just because a lot of cultural nuances that I want to maintain in some of these emails when they come along. So I maintain if a name, if I know for a fact that a name belongs to the tribe, I maintain that. Okay. So personally, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee 3 years ago with my wife Tolu. After we got married, back home in Nigeria, we were excited about starting a new life together in the US. Things were fine at first, but over the last year, everything has changed. It's as if I don't have it's as if I don't even recognize her anymore. Recently, she's been spending more and more time listening to these YouTube channels that push feminist ideas. She listens to them for hours and it's changed her. It's like they've poisoned her mind against me. These channels are always talking about how women don't need men, how marriage is a form of control, and how they should focus on their own independence. I'm scared. I see the way she looks at me now, and I know she's starting to see me as the enemy, not as her husband. She started withholding sex without explanation. One moment, she acts all empowered and tells me she doesn't have to explain anything to me, that her body is her own, and she'll decide when or if we'll be intimate. Wahala. Then the next day, she's going to church programs back to back, saying she's trying to get right with God. The worst part is not even the church we used to go to together. She's refused to attend my church here, the one we agreed on when we moved to Nashville. Instead, she goes to a church that her mother recommended. It's almost like she's following whatever her mother says without considering my feelings at all. Her mother, that's another issue. She's in Nigeria, but her influence on our marriage is constant. Tolu can't make a decision without checking with her mother first. Even when we argue, the first thing she does is call her mom, and then suddenly the entire direction of our lives is dictated by her mother's advice. I've tried talking to Tolu about this, but she just brushes me off, saying that her mother knows best and that I should be grateful she has someone to rely on. Hmm. I feel trapped in my own home. I tried asking her to sit down and talk about things, but every conversation turns into a fight. She accuses me of trying to control her, of not supporting her growth or her newfound independence. But I'm not trying to control her. I just want my wife back. The woman I married was strong, but we were a team. Now I'm just alone, living with someone who treats me like I'm either invisible or some sort of oppressor. The strangest part is the inconsistency. One day, she's acting like she's some liberated woman who doesn't need a man, and the next, she's glued to church programs and prayer sessions. She even accused me of not being spiritual enough to lead our family, which is why she said she won't come to my church anymore. It's humiliating. I can't live like this much longer. I'm tired, frustrated, and completely lost. Every day feels like a new battle, and I'm just too exhausted to keep fighting. I'm constantly walking on eggshells, afraid that anything I say or do will trigger a new argument or worse, another long silence where she just ignores me completely. Honestly, sir, I don't know what to do. I thought coming to the US would bring us closer, give us a fresh start, but instead, I feel like we are miles apart, living in the same house. Every time I try to reach her, I feel like I'm slipping further and further away. It feels like she's become a different person, one that I don't understand, I can't connect with anymore. I'm not sure what the next step should be, or if there even is a next step. All I know is I can't keep going like this. Any advice you can offer will mean the world to me. All right, so any advice? That's it. Before I analyze, or anybody has any advice? Let me see. Marriott, first feminist channels, now mom. Wala, wala, wala. I don't know. I need to keep spraying. Wala, wala, Nigeria don't report to our call. Anyway, let's talk about it. I told you it's quite a long one, so let me try my best to get through this. I'm reaching out because I don't have anyone else to turn to. My marriage is falling apart and I don't know how to fix it. You see, why people say I don't have anyone else to turn to, you know what they've done? They've basically told so many friends about their issues. They discuss it. They're not talking about their family, but they're talking at the same time. So those people are starting to avoid them. There are some people that have talked about their spouse to friends so much, even the friends are tired. They don't pick up the phone. They know what you're about to get into, and they can't have it. Some of them are starting to say, I don't want to be a part of conjugal matters. So, some of them are literally telling you like that. So, that's where that's coming from. So he's tired of talking to everybody else. They're starting to avoid him, and now he's turned to us strangers. Let me see. Black Diamond says, I am sensing bipolar disorder and the new environment might have affected her mentally. Check first with a GP. Thanks for telling me you live in the UK without telling me you live in the UK. GP, did you mean a doctor? You mean like a general practitioner? I don't know if it's only UK where they say that, but it's usually UK people that use the term GP. LOL, those rabbit hole toxic channels are strong. They change people's brains. They will, especially. But the thing is that they don't just change people's brain. There's a void somewhere in the first place, right? There's a reason why that person was attracted to that channel in the first place. And oftentimes we like to pretend like, oh, they just fell out of the skies into a toxic channel. You know, if we the toxic channels, if we try to fix the toxic channel, what does that look like? We're telling them to stop doing toxic channels. How is that going to work? It's not going to work, right? Anyway, let's see if we can help this brother, Sha. But yeah, I agree with the checking with a GP. But here's the thing: is she willing to go to the GP? No, if she's not willing to go to the GP, he could go to a GP and share some insight, share some, this is what I'm going through, blah blah blah. The GP might be able to refer to the necessary people. But hit the like button. Let me get back to my analysis. Keep adding some comments in the session as we're getting through this, if you have any thoughts. My marriage is falling apart and I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you can give me some advice and at least help me understand where I went wrong. I moved to Nashville, Tennessee 3 years ago with my wife Tolu after we got married back home in Nigeria. So it sounds like it's a fresh marriage. So they are under 4 years, I guess. Right after they got married, they moved, if it's immediately. We were excited about starting a new life together in the US. Things were fine at first. That's usually the case. But over the last year, everything has changed. It's as if I don't recognize her anymore. Okay? Recently, she's been spending more and more time listening to these YouTube channels like push feminist idea. Let me brothers, let me tell you something. Okay, all the Jides, his name is Jide. The name we gave him is Jide. Right, all the Jides out there. Okay, if your wife is listening to a channel and now you're snooping around and you now notice that these people are pushing feminists, and then you're getting obsessed over that. Okay, let me warn you, you're going to push your wife further and further away down that rabbit hole of that channel. Okay. You're going to probably overreact. You're going to also pretend, well, not pretend, maybe you don't really know. You're also probably not aware or pretend that there was no void that attracted it to such platforms in the first place. Sometimes it's not directly the experience in your marriage that attract them to that. Some people, what attract them to such conversations could be somebody that they lost somebody to similar topics, right? Maybe a sister, maybe their mother have gone through some things and they vowed that will never be them. So when they start engaging these topics, um, it's not necessarily your fault. But the key thing here is that you don't want to overreact to your woman watching a YouTube channel that's seemingly like all about feminist ideas. You don't want to, if you overreact to that. Now, again, if you are 22 years old and you're just running your mouth on the internet, you can overreact to anything you want. It's just that the quality ladies can smell that. You become a walking red flag and they don't want to marry you. They don't want to date you beyond just one date. You might look good, high six-figure man, six packs, all of that, right? But you probably can't retain a lady, okay? Because why? Because you're also getting soaked up in nonsense and overreacting. But anyway, but if you're already married to this person, the last thing you want to do is overreact when in crisis. The way he just talked about these YouTube channels with feminist ideas, he feels a sense of crisis. He's afraid. He used the word, he's afraid. He said, she listens to them for hours and it's changed her. Okay. Yes, changed her. I guess you could say that it's more like influence, right? What we listen to influences our. The scripture talks about faith cometh by hearing, right? But how? Why? What was the void in your relationship in the first place should be the angle of where you can learn one or two things. Again, when you're confused, it's time to learn something new, okay? Because the flip side of that is that we can start telling all the channels that you think are feminist, to stop, or we should police them to stop talking. Obviously, that's not going to work. That's a loser's battle, right? It's like they've poisoned her mind against me, against you. Interesting. All right. So now you start to feel like the whole world is against you. Like it's them against you, them including your wife against you. So it makes sense that you're overreacting. But again, the point here that I'm sharing this is check yourself. Stop overreacting. It doesn't mean there are no issues to address, but the first step is to stop the bleeding. You're bleeding out badly. You're going to continue to bleed all over the situation. It's going to be messy. Calm down, okay? The feminist channels are not your enemy, I promise you. There's a void in your relationship. That's why she's yielding to that. And that is filling the void. Maybe temporarily, maybe it's not going to be long term for her. But first step is for you to manage how you see these things. He says these channels are always talking about how women don't need men. Okay. How marriage is a form of control, and how they should focus on their own independence. Okay, I'm scared. All right, so again, fear. You're operating from a place of fear, so you're going to overreact. I see the way she looks at me now, and I know she's starting to see me as the enemy, right? But you are also starting to see a bunch of strangers, YouTube channels, as the enemy. That's not going to work. So she's seeing you as the enemy, not her husband. All right, so something triggered them to go watch empowerment videos. She must have felt powerless in the relationship. There you go. It's either she's feeling powerless or she can relate somehow, some way, and that's what's going on here. And for most men, they can't see that far. They just argue with their destiny. But hopefully, if you're coming here, I hope you can listen clearly to what I'm saying. The point here is that you can't afford to be overreacting to that. Is she watching feminism videos or feminist guru videos? Those are different. This brother probably doesn't know the difference, and he could care less. Either one, it won't matter. The best way for him to react to this is to not overreact, because it only gets worse. She started withholding sex without explanation. Okay. Withhold sex with explanation. I'm trying to think, what does that look like? Hey, oh, I'm withholding sex, or I'm fasting tomorrow. Yeah, usually that's not how it goes. One moment she acts all empowered and tells me she doesn't have to explain anything to me, that her body is her own, and she'll decide when or if we'll be intimate. Now, this conversation that leads to her saying that, I doubt very much that it was just that simple. It sounds like it was part of a bigger conversation, like a part of a bigger argument, right? For a woman to get to a place where she said, my body is my own, my body, my choice, and she's using such language with you, we can both agree that she's lost respect for you. But why? What happened? Okay. Now, again, remember I was saying she could be watching feminist video or videos about certain empowerment for women thing, and she's watching those things, right? Maybe she's watching because she can relate, because she has secondhand, secondhand relating to it, right? Maybe, right? But it could be because of her, the experience she's having with you, or that she once upon a time had with you, or that her mother had with her father. This is why you don't overreact. You need to understand what's going on first, right? But if she's saying language like my body is my own and she's withholding sex, then she's definitely lost respect for you. Quote unquote, she's not in love with you. A woman who doesn't have respect for you cannot be in love with you. So in other words, everything is going to close up, sealed shut, and you can't enter, you can't penetrate. That's what she's trying to say. So this sounds to me, if she's saying my body is her own, my body is my own, she will decide when, all this kind of stuff, sounds like a woman who is no longer in love with you. Again, I said that sounds a little extreme, but that's just now. She's not in love with you now. You need to understand that first. Okay? You need to see that for what it is first. Right? That doesn't mean she's your enemy. I can understand that you feel that she's coming off as your enemy, or she sees you as the enemy. She sounds like she's trying to protect herself from something, maybe you. But bottom line is that down there is still shut. She doesn't want it. That's the bottom line. You can use any language you want. She weaponized it. She withheld it. You can take it to the pastor so that they can shame her to open it up for you one night, but she will even resent it more. She will shut it down now for even longer period of time. All that may work short term, but it won't work long term, because the bottom line, she doesn't want to. And I know rejection feels horrible. I get it. But again, as a man, you should get to a space where you're okay with rejection, and then work on yourself, work on your situation, so you can reject rejection in a way that's sustainable, of course. Exactly the same way men who have collected turn to red. That's it. It's the same issues. There's a reason why men turn to those things. We can't just turn around and say, hey, they just don't know. There's a reason. Most men that have collected shege from the hands of a woman, even if it's not her fault, they're the one that find themselves in those spaces. Okay, so again, my body's my own, all this kind of stuff, withholding sex without explanation, that is a sign of deeper issues. If you get stuck in the symptoms of the issues, you will make matters worse. Most people will get stuck in the symptoms. Okay, most people will get stuck in shaming that person to submit. Let's beat it down until she gives up the quikus. It might work for one night, a couple of times, but you're probably just making matters worse. Then the next day, she's going to church programs back to back, saying she's trying to get right with God. The worst part is, it's not even the church we used to go to. So if she's doing back and forth in your eyes, she's confused. She's trying to figure something out. She's lost herself, right? Just like you have lost yourself. The worst part is, it's not even the church we used to go to together. She refused to attend my church here, the one we agreed on when we moved to Nashville. Instead, she goes to a church that her mother recommended. Sounds, again, she's seeking a safe haven in the hands of other people but you. She doesn't feel safe with you. again, don't take this wrong or wrongly. It's it's just what it is. You need to see it for what it is first so you can fix it, right? She doesn't feel safe with you. And it's not going to be as simple. Why don't you feel safe with me? No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be, you're going to need to learn how to listen. There's some things she's saying that you skipped in this email. Okay. There's some things she said before everything you said in this email. Sorry, guys. I know I didn't mute. Let's try to get some quiet studio time. All right. Sorry. Let's see. Mara says shouldn't give up. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Um, the worst part is not even the church that we go together. Okay, so this church again, she's going to another church. Sounds like you used to go to a church together, but she decided that she wants to go to our church. Most likely, I've seen this case all the time. Most likely, she's going to a church of where she was raised. Okay, the first time I saw that was my mother, actually. Right, the church I go to today is Christ Apostolic Church. That's the church I go to today. But originally, my father's family, my family is Anglican, right? And we went to Anglican when I was growing up. The first church we went to was Anglican. Eventually, we ended up at the White Garment Church. So I'll say between the ages of, from ages birth to 3, I was in Dallas, Texas. That would be Baptist, Black American Baptist type of thing. That's what I was told. From ages 4 to like 6-ish, 4, 5, 6. Okay, roughly around 4, 5, 6. We went to Anglican church because that's we moved to Nigeria and then we went to Anglican church. I remember the church now. I think the church. I'm trying to remember the church now. I forgot the name. It's an Anglican church in Akure. And then from like 7, 8, 9, all the way to like 10 or 11, we went to White Garment Church. It's a church that was a spin-off of the Holy Church of Christ. I think the Holy Church of Christ was a spin-off of Cherubim and Seraphim. And I think, or the other way around, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a descendant of Cherubim and Seraphim type of church, And guess who took us to that Cherubim and Seraphim church? It was my mother. But when the family where I was raised, my mother and my father, at one point, they scattered their situation because of some situation. They had their own marriage crisis. In that period of time, guess what my mother wanted to go to? She wanted to go back to her father's church. So her father was an elder at the CAC. Yeah. So we moved to Owo when I was 12 years old. Yes, 12 years old. We moved to Owo, and then she started going to CAC. My father decided to stay in the White Garment Church. And but at that time, I remember her saying, if he doesn't, all the talk, all the infidelity talk, whatever. And then she said she's going back to her father's church. She was looking for a place where she can feel safe. Women will do that. They might go back to their roots, or they will tag on to another pastor somewhere, a bishop who seems a little bit more promising to give them a peace of mind, right? But there's always a reason why people are running around spiritual homes. There's always a deeper reason. Again, the one thing you can do here as a man is don't overreact to it. Let her sort it out. All right. Around about 2013, 14-ish. One day, my wife just said, the church I was going to at the time, she just said she doesn't feel something. She wanted to go try another church out. She was having a lot of In hindsight now, I think it was mostly stuff she was going through personally herself for her personal development, and she was just confused with a lot of things. And but the way the symptoms were, I don't like what this one did, this pastor did this, and the pastor said that. Now we're complaining about a lot of things, but a lot of things we complain about in any church, we don't just up and leave the church. But when it's becoming like, okay, I want to just go to another church, thinking that the church is going to be better than the church you're in, that's usually a personal deep issue, that people need to walk through. And the best thing you can do, what I did at the time, is to first of all, I was able to tap back into, I remember, right? I think deep. So I thought about, I remember that my mother went through something similar. So what I told her, I said, that's fine. If you want to go to the church down the street, I'll pick you up from there. You can pick me up, whatever works. That's what I told her at the time. Unbeknownst to me, that the marriage crisis we went through was starting in a very funny, twisted way. That was the beginning of the issue that we had in our personal life. You can read all of the stories in Get My Marriage Back. Okay. But funny enough, I knew enough at that time to say, yeah, sure. But she actually resented that. I said, okay. So you never know how they're going to react to it. But the point is not overreacting, so you can at least see what's going on. Like within a few weeks later, in addition to people saying, where is she? Okay, let's call her. She came back, but it was a quick fix. It was a temporary fix, if you will. But the point here I'm making is that, women can do that. People in general can also do that. They're looking for a place where they can feel safe, and it can be very confusing for them. The last thing you want to do is make it bigger than what it is. Your parents were seeking their spiritual home. They were confused. The best thing I can say is they were confused. We ended up, when I was around 13 years old, we ended up at a church called the All Christian Fellowship Ministries, which is Pentecostal. My mother became a SU. My father came back home. And this was a long story for another day. Maybe my father will come and tell that story himself. It will be his second time here. Anyway, he became an elder and all that. So now, let's get back to this. So don't overreact to the fact that she refused to go to church. Here's an example of overreacting. It's her mother that make her do it. Listen, there will be more than enough reasons around you to point at. There's more than enough things, scapegoats that you can point at and say, this is the reason. It's because you're watching The Feminist. It's because your mother did this. It's because of your friends. Gentlemen, once you start to do that, you are showing signs of confusion. You are confused. Okay? Just look at it this way. One day you say it's the mother. The other day you say it's the friends. It's because of the friends she's carrying around. The other day you say it's this Western world, right? All right. But what is the bottom line here? The bottom line is that your wife is feeling a sense of void. They're feeling safer in the arms of another person, in the arms of another entity, another institution, another organization, rather than feeling safe with you. I'm not saying it's your fault, but it's a question that you should ask yourself. Why? What is it about our relationship that is not making her feel safe? It's a question that you need to really take your time to process, because it will give you the clarity you're looking for. Okay? And if you overreact to all of these issues, in other words, calling her mother and cussing her mother out, or throwing slight statements at her family and say it's because of this, or you friends. I did some of those things too. If you do that, it just gets worse. I used to be like, let's just tell the truth. Let's just call a spade, and just say it's that person's fault. It's that person that you have been hanging out with. It might even get worse. It might even get worse, So you don't want to be doing all of that. You want to calm down, understand that there's something deeper than what you're looking at going on. Her mother, that's another issue. She's in Nigeria, but her influence on our marriage is constant. The family she came from will always have influence over her. Okay? But if that influence was not big enough for her to if it wasn't big enough to stop her from marrying you, then you have even a bigger influence. But at this moment, your influence is lower. She's lost respect for you, right? So now she's reflecting back. Maybe this was all a mistake. Maybe this marriage was a mistake. Maybe I didn't vet properly. Maybe I should have listened to my father. Maybe I should have listened to Pastor Kingsley a little bit more. Maybe I should have bought that program that time. She's questioning everything, right? So what do? You turn around and say, well, these are the reasons why you should continue to question it. It's your mother. That's where she came from. Of course, they have influence over her. How much influence she will run back there if she doesn't feel safe with you? Yes, she will continue to yield their advice before she decides, make major decisions, because she doesn't feel that safe. She doesn't respect you. Again, it's not necessarily your fault. It's just a reality that you must face. First, you were asking, what is the first step forward? You need to, as a man, see the reality for what it is. It's a harsh reality. It's a very hard pill to swallow, but you need to see it for what it is and be very honest with yourself. All the is this person's fault, is this all that, you need to lose all of that. The blame game, lose all of it. Okay, get rid of anything that sound like you're blaming people, blaming things, blaming the Western world, the feminist platforms. You need to get rid of all those things, because those things will pollute your ability to actually pull your family back together. It will pollute, to make things worse. Okay, you definitely, then for sure, you can't be shaming her mother or anything like that. You can't do that. It's only going to get worse. That's her mother. Okay, that's who she feels the safest with right now. Anything you say against that, make it sound like you're controlling. Hey, that's why they say you're controlling. They say you're controlling. Yeah, because actually you're being controlling. I'm letting you know right now. This statement is a giveaway. It's a quick giveaway. When you say, without checking with her mother first, Tolu can't make a decision without checking with her mother first. Just because you're controlling doesn't mean you mean to be controlling. Just because you don't mean to be controlling doesn't mean you're not coming off to your partner as controlling and manipulative. You need to separate the two. Separate your intentions from what is actually happening, right? The experience of the person is what you need to pay attention to. Is that person experiencing a controlling jide? And then you need to pay attention to that. You don't have to say, oh, it's my fault. That's not the point, because guilt is just as terrible as blame. That's not the point. I want you to just see it for what it is. She's seeing you as controlling. Why? Because you're probably overreacting to her yielding to her mother for advice, running around those churches that you don't want her to go to. You probably try to put your foot on the ground, but she's like, put your foot on the ground. My body, my body. There's nothing you can control here. What happened to the jide that somehow got her in bed without telling her that she must be in bed with you? That's the question you should be asking. Even when we argue, I'm continuing, even when we argue, the first thing she does is call her mom. Wait, so you've been arguing with her? Okay, all of us have done it, but these are part of the problems. You're arguing with her. It takes two to argue. Everybody should remember this. You see how I push against when people say it takes two to tango, as I push against it. Not when it comes to argument. If you're arguing, it's because both of you are engaged in an argument. Okay, you can have a disagreement, right? You can disagree with an ideology, you can disagree with an opinion, but once it's an argument, especially arguments that leads to fight, as he says, then the issues here are deeper. All right, so even when we argue, the first thing she does is call her mom, and then suddenly the entire direction of her lives is dictated by her mother's advice. I bet you think it's her mother that's also advising her to not have sex with you. I bet you think that. Or maybe her friends. Anyway, I've tried talking to Tolu about this, but she just brushes me off, saying that her mother knows best and that I should be grateful she has someone to rely on. Okay, so here's another giveaway. Listen to this statement very clearly. And I quote, "I've tried talking to Tolu about this, but she just brushes me off, saying that her mother knows best, that I should be grateful she asked someone to rely on." Let me come to the chat. What was that conversation about? Let me read it again to you. He's tried talking to Tolu about what? About this. What is this? But she brushes me off. Okay, saying that her mother knows best and that I should be grateful she has someone to rely on. What is the conversation about? Because he's talking about, he's trying to talk to Tolu. Can somebody tell me in the chat, what is the conversation about? Anybody tell me in the chat. What is the conversation about? He said, I've tried talking to Tolu about this, right? Based on that full statement, what is the conversation about? Exactly, communication is key. What you say is differently from how it's perceived based on the relationship you have. Yes, it's all different. That's why active listening is key, right? Active listening is key. No, I'm listening. No, it's not good enough to listen. Active listening. You need to listen without any preconceived response. Okay, that's what you need to do. All right. So what was that conversation about? Let me read it again to you. I've tried talking to Tolu about this, but she just brushes me off, saying that her mother knows best and that I should be grateful she has someone to rely on. What is the subject of that conversation? Anybody? I feel trapped in my own home. I tried asking her to sit down and talk about things, but every conversation turns into a fight. What are the conversations about at this point? We should get what by now you should get what kind of conversation he's been having with his wife. She accuses me of trying to control her. Why? How? Tolu's mom. Thank you, Black Diamond. So you want to have conversation with her, but you make the conversation about Tolu's mom or the feminist ideas or the YouTube channel she's been watching, or about the fact that she shuts down the Kwekus. Right? I understand. I feel your pain. But if you make the conversations about those things, I'm not sure what your expectations are. I know that everybody expects that just communicate. If you talk about it, everything will be fine. But what is it that causes people to be defensive when you're having quote unquote communication with them? Like the moment you want to start talking, they just get defensive. Before you land a line, they already have answers for you. So we should blame them, right, for being terrible at communication. Blame, that's a poison. That's a problem. Blame care. Blame Bitibawo. That's a poison. Look on the screen. Number 3. You can't come from that place of blame. You can't do that. The book How to Win and Influence talks about the 3 C's, right? Complain, criticize, condemn. Those 3 C's will always poison everything for you. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter how great your intentions are. It doesn't matter how much kingdom talk you put into it. It doesn't matter how God told you felt like God was trying to tell you something. If it sounds like any of these things on the screen right here, they're going to get defensive. Ladies, the same thing is true. If they feel any of this in your attempt to communicate, if they feel it, even if that's not your intentions, they will get defensive. So in other words, you will fail at communicating. No, but they failed at communication. No, relax. Remember, I'm not trying to say it's your fault here. I'm just trying to let you know that the reality is that you failed to communicate. If in your attempt to communicate, the person you're communicating with feel any of these emotions you're looking at on the screen, they're poisons. They will work against everything. You will have to start from ground zero, if not below ground zero, meaning damages, meaning resentment, meaning now they think they need to forgive you or they can't forgive you, and all these other extra layers of emotions you have to walk through. it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. All the while, it's not that you're necessarily wrong.
You're right.
It's not that. But your results are obviously wrong. So it's time to learn something new. Yes, all this extra thing that he thinks are the cause of her behavior are the topics that he's having. These are the topics, point of contentions. And he's been trying to have conversation with Tolu, and Tolu sounds like a person that just gets in defensive. Before you land your first line, they already know where you're going. They shut it down. Not only is she shutting down the Kwekus, she shuts you down. She can't hear you. So now I have a choice. I can say, Tolu should not do that. Ladies, women, don't do that. Don't shut down on your woman. Sure. Ladies, don't shut down on your man. Listen to your man. Respect your man. You will end up in this street. So yeah. Unfortunately, Tolu is not here to hear that. Tolu is not going to hear that. It is Jide who sent this email in, and that's the person I'm talking to. So Jide needs to stop making all the symptoms the issue. There are symptoms. He needs to dig a little bit deeper and get to the root cause of the issue. The root cause of the issue is not Tolu's mom. That's another human being entirely. And dragging another human being through your mugs is not going to work. And even dragging her, she will turn around and call you controlling, because that's what she's feeling, right? Is she right? No, you're right. She's wrong. She's wrong.
You're right.
You're right. She's wrong, but she's not here to hear that. Let's talk about you, okay? The point is that if you're going to have conversations around your marriage, you cannot bring up this feminist stuff. Tolu's mom, no, she's going to get defensive because she can already smell it that you hate her mom, by the way. Just in case you don't know yet, she already can tell that you hate her mom, that you're disgusted by her mom at this point. She can feel the energy. You don't have to say it out loud. She can feel it. Anyway, how? That's a jump question, though. I don't know where to start with that, but she can feel it. Okay, she can feel that you can't stand it, and she I don't know if she knows that you've been monitoring her, how she's watching the feminist channels and stuff, but she can feel the energy coming from you, and that's why she's defensive and shutting you down. So the first thing is to take a step back away from all of that stuff. Active listening. You need to listen to her. What is she trying to say? Not what she's saying. What is she trying to say? Oftentimes, a Tolu will be terrible at communication, of course. Will not know how to express her feelings in a constructive way, of course. In fact, Tolu might have been fantasizing about another world without you, of course. But you're still the one that's there. You're the man. You're still the man, right? So there's a lot of work we can do here. But the first work is to back off of all these things you're blaming. Take a step back away from. These are called the weather. That's just rain, sunshine. They will happen. You can't blame those things. In-laws, her mother, are you kidding me? That's you shooting yourself on the legs. You need to make her your ally. And that's not going to happen now since you hate her. You need to understand that's going to be a process. But if the mom is already feeling some type of way about you, of course, she's not going to outrightly say, hey, hate your husband, close down the Kwekus from her, no. But she's going to be like, hey, so he did that? I can't believe he did that. And then she's going to feel worse and worse about her choices in a man. So in other words, she might actually be protecting you from her mother. And you can't see that part because you see her mother as the enemy. The point I'm making is to back off of that rhetoric of blaming your in-law. It's not going to work. It's going to continue to backfire. It will work continuously against you. They are your family. That as far as reality is concerned, they are your family, and you're going to need to fix a lot with regards to that relationship. But that's not the primary issue right now. The issue is your wife. What is she trying to say? Not what she's saying. What is she trying? Are you saying I have to read minds? Oh Lord. You are a no. But yes, Yes, of course. You need to listen beyond what she's saying. Okay? It's going to take time. It's going to take more than you saying, hey, let me say something too. If you do that,
You doing what?
If you do that, it will work. She'll get defensive. You've experienced that already. She's not going to listen to you because she's actively trying to protect herself, potentially trying to run away from you into the arms of her mother, the feminist channel, the feminist people, a pastor, a counselor. You never see anything yet. If you don't calm down and again, back off of the blame game in general, anything that looks like you're blaming people and you're judgmental, you're criticizing, you're condemning, back off from that. Okay. He said, I feel trapped in my own home. I tried asking her to sit down and talk about things, but every conversation turns into a fight. She accuses me of trying to control her, of not supporting her growth or her newfound independence. But I'm not trying to control her. Okay, so she needs to see that. You can't say that in words. The fact that you're saying that in words is actually controlling. Uh-oh. Sorry. The fact that you say that statement, I'm not trying to control her, is actually controlling. Listen to me. I know that's not your intentions. You didn't mean to control her. I get it. Okay?
He shock you.
You didn't mean to control her. I get your intentions are off, and you're like, wait, but I'm a good man. I never control my wife. I get it.
What?
I get it. Okay. But see that statement? I'm not trying to control her. I just want my wife back. Well, I can't judge you, right? But I want you to pay attention to the nuances here. Okay. What is she feeling? I just want my back. I want my wife back. I'm desperate. I desperately want my wife back. What does that look like in the way you show up in conversations? Does she feel safe with you? If she doesn't feel safe, then it makes sense to me why she might call you controlling, maybe even narcissistic. It makes sense. Because what does it look like when you overreact, right? When you get angry and you say, enough is enough. What does that look like? I don't know what that looks like. I would like to know what that looks like. If we're being honest, what does that look like? I'll see. We'll get there. You know, you're asking me what the first step. The real first step is to sign up with a complimentary coaching session. That's the real first step, really. Okay, but I'm just saying, maybe we can get to. Maybe you can tell me some truth about what does it look like when you overreact. You're a human being. Of course, you overreact sometimes when your wife just suddenly shut down the kpekus, withhold the kpekus from you, and start manipulating you with the kpekus, knowing fully well that she committed. She said a vow. How dare she? She said a vow in front of the whole world. In health, in sickness, till death do us part. How dare she? And she claimed to be Holy Spirit. And she's tried to do holy. And one day she's seeking God, and the other day is madness. She wants freedom. She wants to be liberated. Is she confused? Yeah, she's probably is just as confused.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. But never mind her. Let's talk about your own confusion. Right? Yes, you can influence the change you're looking for. In fact, that's the only way. You have to influence the change you're looking for. Especially if you're the man, absolutely. You have to lead. You don't have a choice. You're leading, by the way, already. You might not realize it. Okay. You're already leading, but I want you to be a little more intentional about how you are leading. All right. So, but I'm not trying to control her. I just want my wife back. The woman I married was strong, but we're a team. Now I'm just alone, living with someone who treats me like I'm either invisible or some sort of oppressor. You've lost yourself. You need to find yourself first. I can tell you that. You can take that to the bank. I can tell you that for free, and you can take it to the bank. You've lost yourself. You're not abnormal. You should want your wife, but she doesn't want you right now. The strangest part is the inconsistency. One day she's acting like she's some liberated woman who doesn't need a man, and the next she's glued to church programs and prayer sessions. I'm not sure what the comparison between prayer sessions and not needing a man is, but let's just run with it. She even accused me of not being spiritual enough. That's the confusion. She thinks if you're just spiritual enough, if you just pray enough, she's probably starting to compare you to her pastor. Okay, the truth is that women find prayerful men sexy. That's the reality. Especially if she's groaning back and forth between churches, she probably find prayerful men sexy. So does that mean you should become prayerful? No, I think it's the leadership thing in it. The fact that you can lead and you can lead your woman to God. That part, yeah, it's probably a disconnect in that, right? You probably say, hey, we're going to a church together, but I'm not really involved in the church. What does that look like when you also bring in what's your ability to listen? I mean, let's look at this here. Are you just calling her mom out in your spirit, or you've actually said something out loud? Can she feel that you hate her mom and all the feminists in the world? Gentlemen, the last thing you want to do is to become of as you hate feminists. Don't do that. If you do that and you find yourself in this space already, how about you go collect it?
Sorry, yo.
Oh, Kubeno, I think you're using the wrong channel to comment. We can't pray. I beg, leave us alone. You can't pray, but it's not the prayer. It's an element of prayer. It's the leadership thing. They see when they see a man on that pedestal and he's saying, God said, it does something to their soul. And if you don't have other aspect of life where your woman yields to you, she's going to run to that pastor. In fact, she might start fantasizing about being the person that God has called to be that pastor's wife. Don't be surprised. You see these things all around you. So let's not act like we're strange to this. I just covered the story of Chanel Scott. She was 33 at this time. Now, she wasn't married. But anyway, let's keep going. He said it's humiliating, which is why she says she won't come to my church anymore. It's humiliating. Okay, so if she sees that your spiritual life is not where it's supposed to be, and she's going to church with you, and she feels some void in your relationship, of course she's going to run away. She's going to go look for safety somewhere else. I can't live like this much longer. I'm tired, frustrated, and completely lost. I just said it. You've lost yourself. Okay. In fact, the first thing I would tell you if you sign up in my program is we got to take care of you. We got to take care of you. Okay. You too, you deserve soft life. It's probably no wonder, or little to no wonder, why she doesn't find you sexy anymore. Have you been taking care of yourself? I'll be like, we're husband and wife. What else are we looking for? Is she asking me to have 6 packs? I'm not asking you to have 6 packs, but I'm just saying, can she look at you and see 6 packs in you? Can she? She might not see it physically, but can she picture 6 packs in you, figuratively speaking? If she can't, yes, she will fantasize about 6 packs. So I'm just warning you. What kind of life is this? So women are just looking for 6 packs, 6 inches all over the place. About you go explain tired. Hey, you go explain tired.
Explain. Because no evidence.
It's figuratively speaking. Okay. The point is that she doesn't respect you. Okay. I see way too many women and say, I beg, leave her. Leave is 1 pack like that. I love it. I kiss over it. Yeah. Why? Because in their head, you are that guy, right? And some other women, they have a 6-pack man at home, or they attracted one, and then they notice that it's a little boy after the fact that he's like he can't separate his intentions from the actual result. That like, this one is not a man. Is this really a man? So it depends on how you. Bottom line is that women like to be able to respect. They naturally want to respect. It's a natural thing. They naturally want to respect their husband. If they can't respect their husband, you have problems too. It's not going to be as simple as ordering her to respect husband, though. The problem is deeper than that, I promise you. Every day feels like a new battle, and I'm just too exhausted to keep fighting. I'm constantly walking on eggshells, afraid that anything I say or do would trigger a new argument, or worse, another long silence where she just ignores me completely. I guarantee you that this one thing would not trigger her negatively. In fact, it will trigger her attraction back to you. Taking care of yourself. Okay? And I'm not talking about hitting the gym. There's too many red pill men in the gym that never took care of themselves, and they wonder why their life never hasn't changed for better. I'm not talking about just hitting the gym just for the sake of. I'm talking about taking care of your own mental health. Stop making it about her mom, the feminist people, the YouTube channel. Stop making it about that. How about yourself, your personal purpose in life? When was the last time you yield into your personal purpose as a man? What is it that you want to do with the rest of your life in terms of your career, in terms of things you would do when you wake up, that even if there's no money attached to it, it just makes you feel fulfilled? Everything I just said, does that sound strange to you? Yeah, of course, she can't respect you now, right? You're waking up day and night, like you're pretending like she just shut down the Quakers overnight. Did she shut it down overnight? What happened before that? Wait, nothing happened. Wait. First, have you asked the question? Have you been patient enough to listen to the answers? There's a good chance you haven't done that. There's a good chance you haven't done that. If you've done it, she's an evil woman. Leave her alone. Move on with your life. Okay? If it's not that simple, then you're a liar. There's some kind of value you're getting from her, and you haven't paid attention to the value you're getting from her. What you paid most attention to is what you resent the most about her mother, right? And the fact that she shut down the Gbogbo's, that part, I feel your pain on that. But again, you cannot fix the issues by getting stuck in the symptoms. You have to dig in deeper, go deeper. Walking on eggshell is not going to fix the issue. If you are more concerned about just yourself now, self-care, self-love, if you focus on that right now, right? You don't have to walk on eggshells around that. She might just start to wonder what you're up to, and then that's effectively rebuilding attraction all over again. But if you continue to say, I talked to her about it, what are you talking about? About Tolu's mom? Tolu's mom should not be deciding the fate of our relationship. You are talking about the symptoms. She will continue to run away to where she feels safe, right? One day she will get the courage to pull the trigger and divorce you, okay? Now, if she's just straight up evil, I already gave you the solution. Leave her, let her go if she's evil. It's unlikely. Okay. Honestly, sir, I don't know what to do. I thought coming to the US would bring us closer. No, coming to the US will expose your nyash. Okay, give us a fresh start. But instead, I feel like we're miles apart, living in the same house. So you're living like roommates. Every time I try to reach her, I feel like I'm slipping further and further away. It feels like she's become a different person. She's becoming a different person. She's evolving. Well, that's not inherently a bad thing. It just depends on how you see it. Half glass empty, half glass full. It's completely up to you how you see that. She's becoming a different person. How do you react to that? What are you becoming? Who taught you that? Who taught you that? Is that your mom again? You don't say it in words because you're a good guy, but it shows in your energy. She could tell that you resent her mom. Trust me, she can tell. One that I don't understand and can't connect with anymore. By the way, some people do say it out loud. Is this what your mom taught you to do? This is what happens when people have when they are the second wives and they are the product of a polygamous family, and you start running your mouth. And this is what happens they never marry a woman who the mother never listened to her father. If this is how you approach it, your wife, and please don't act surprised around me, please. Okay, don't do that. Okay, you're creating. You're leading. Either you like it or not, you know it or not, you're still leading. She's multiplying it for you.
Sorry, yo.
Okay, I'm not sure what the next step should be. The next step is to reach out to me for coaching. Okay, because this is a lot going on here, and it's not going to be as simple as I've told you everything you need to do, but you need support system. because you probably have bad habits that's creating that. Your bad habits could be as simple as you don't love yourself. You're with a very evil woman that you should leave alone. It could be that too. I doubt it, but it could be that. Just in case, just in case you think like, no, he's just always talking and pandering to women. No, your wife could be an evil wife, mother of your children. She could be, okay? And yes, but is she? You don't know? You're confused? Okay. Sign up for a free complimentary session and then we'll get into the details, a little bit more details of what's going on. And if she's a human being and she cares about something, not you per se, if she has something she cares about that matters to her, then this is a very simple issue that you can resolve. Is it easy? No, it is not easy. Okay? You're about to rebuild, and it's going to take a while. It's going to be a process to rebuild. But let me come to the chat. Let me see if anybody's saying anything. Which one is picture 6 packs? Picture. My husband has 1 pack, but I picture 6 packs in Jesus' name. There's some people that love their husband at that level. You can't tell them nothing. They don't see it. They don't see all that extra stuff, but they feel so safe. Like that's non-issues, right? But of course, if your wife doesn't feel safe with you, she will start fantasizing about 6 packs and 6 inches and 6 figures. And then you'll be like, oh, it's because I'm not making enough money, Baba. Stop the cap. She got with you. She knew exactly how much you were making.
Stop the cap.
It wasn't the money. It's something else. Now, she's saying money now. Because obviously you guys have deeper issues. But let me know. Join the conversation in the comment area. If you're watching this later on, join the conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are. Give him an advice in the comment area. Okay? Give him a feminist advice, a red pill advice, all of that. In between advice. A scripture kingdom backed up advice. I think he can appreciate it, But yes. I got one more thing I want to cover. Obviously, I want to cover the headliner here today. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. I'll be right back.
Hey, Prestige fam, show some love to the video. Hit like, subscribe, and share. Are you in Europe, America, and struggling in your relationship? From argument to abuse and trust issues, we're here to help.
Lola and I founded Prestige Marriage Academy to transform your story. With 20 years of friendship, 17 years of marriage, experience with navigating the ups and downs of marriage, and personalized coaching, includes 24/7 support. Ignorance is expensive. WhatsApp us at +1 732 305 8577 to book a free discovery session today and take charge now.
Don't wing it.
Join us in creating the love life you deserve.